Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready to dive in.
Oh.
Today we're exploring something kind of different, something we all have a relationship with, right? Money. But not the numbers and spreadsheet side of things. We're going deeper into the psychology of it all. Like, how do our brains actually form those money mindsets we carry around?
Exactly. It's about uncovering that hidden script, the one that often drives our spending without us even realizing it. And that's where our deep dive today starts, with this idea of a money story. We're pulling insights from this great blog post by Listallion, 50 journal prompts to transform your money mindset. They've got a whole section about unearthing that story. Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and it all links back to those early money memories, right? The ones that
Yeah.
stick with us. The article even mentions something as simple as getting a coin for doing chores as a kid. It sounds almost silly, but it could be one of our very first financial memories.
And you know what's crazy is how those early experiences, even something that small, lay the groundwork for some pretty deep beliefs about money. We don't even realize it at the time, but those experiences are shaping how we view things like value, earning, rewards.
It's like they get imprinted on us. So that money story, those early messages, it's not just some cute nostalgia trip. It's still affecting us today.
Totally. And that's why some people get stuck in certain patterns with their finances. Maybe they're afraid to take risks or they overspend without realizing why. It could be tied back to those subconscious beliefs about money that were formed way back when.
It's not about blaming the past, though, right?
Yeah.
It's about awareness.
Yeah.
Like, okay, these are the beliefs I've picked up along the way. Do they still serve me, or are some of them holding me back?
You got it. It's about recognizing those ingrained beliefs and then making a conscious choice. Which ones are helpful and which ones need a little reframing. Once you shine a light on them, you can actually start to rewrite the script.
I love that, rewriting the script.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking back, what are some of your earliest money memories? What messages did you kind of absorb growing up?
You know, I think about my grandfather a lot. He lived through the Depression, so thriftiness, that was huge for him, almost like a sacred value. And I think I took that to heart, maybe a little too much. For a while, I was so cautious with money that I was almost afraid to invest. It took some work to reframe that thinking. So even when those early messages are positive, they can still hold us back in some ways, huh?
Right, like a safety net that's actually preventing us from, leaping forward. It's about finding that balance, acknowledging the past, those early influences, but also realizing we have the power to change. We're not stuck.
So we've dipped our toes into this idea of money stories. But now, let's get real about the emotional stuff. How do we actually face those financial fears head on?
That's the next chapter. We'll explore those fears, how to actually address them, and maybe even reframe them into something more positive. And we'll talk about some tools we can use along the way, things like journaling, shifting those limiting beliefs, and even why it's okay to ask for help sometimes. Stick with us. So we dug deep into those money stories, those early influences, which is eye-opening for sure. But how do we actually move past them? Like facing those financial fears head on? That feels kind of daunting.
It is daunting, but it's also like the key to unlocking a lot of potential. It's about acknowledging that money is connected to our emotions.
But it's not just about spreadsheets and budgets. It's about our hopes, our worries. It's okay to admit we're scared sometimes.
Totally. And naming those fears is often the hardest part.
Yeah, and this blog post, it doesn't shy away from that at all. It even has this whole section with journal prompts specifically about those fears, like not having enough to retire or unexpected expenses throwing us off course.
Oh, journaling about money. That's brilliant. It helps us get those worries out of our heads onto paper.
It's like shining a light on them instead of letting them lurk in the shadows. But, okay, let's say we've identified those fears. Now what?
Now comes the fun part, reframing.
Reframing. Okay, give us an example. Those negative beliefs about money, how do we actually flip the script?
So let's say there's this thing you really want, but there's this voice in your head saying, you'll never afford that. Instead of letting that fear take over, what if you said, okay, I'm committed to finding ways to achieve this?
Boom. From never to I'm committed, right?
Yeah.
Shifting that whole perspective.
Exactly. It's about moving away from scarcity, from that fear of not enough, and stepping into possibility. And sometimes that takes getting a little support.
Absolutely. Sometimes we can't do it all alone, right? And the article really emphasizes that. Like, it's okay to reach out for help, whether it's a financial advisor, a trusted friend, even joining a support group.
Totally. It's like we all need a co-pilot sometimes on this journey to financial well-being, someone to help us navigate those tricky spots.
So we've tackled those money stories, and we're facing those financial fears. That's huge. But let's talk about actually making those goals happen. achieving that financial abundance we all dream of.
And that's where this idea of an abundance mindset comes in. The article talks about gratitude and using affirmations as tools to attract abundance.
Okay, gotta admit, sometimes those affirmations feel a little, I don't know,
Woo-woo.
yeah, a little woo-woo. Like,
Yeah.
can simply saying something make it true?
I hear you. But think of it like this. Affirmations are like a way to reprogram our minds. When we repeat positive statements about our financial goals, over time, our beliefs start to shift.
So instead of dwelling on that thought of, I'll never be financially secure, maybe we start saying, I'm attracting wealth and abundance into my life.
Exactly. It's about replacing those old limiting beliefs with new, empowering ones.
It's like we're planting seeds, right?
And those affirmations, they water those seeds. They help us cultivate a mindset of abundance. But the key is consistency. We got to focus on what we want, not what we're afraid of.
There's this quote from the article that really stuck with me. Embrace gratitude for the resources and opportunities you currently have. This isn't just about feeling better about your income, it's about creating a foundation from which wealth can grow.
I love that. Gratitude is like the fertile soil that allows abundance to flourish. The more grateful we are, the more we open ourselves up to opportunities.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Mm.
The more grateful we are, the more opportunities we see, the more confident we become.
Hmm.
And suddenly, those financial goals, not so daunting anymore.
Exactly. It's about shifting that energy. And speaking of shifting, let's talk about aligning our spending with our values. This is where things get really practical.
Let's do it, because the article has some great journal prompts about this too. Prompts that make us think about our spending habits in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's like, where does our money actually go, right?
Right.
And is it actually supporting the things we care about most?
Right. Like, think about it. Every time we spend money, we're kind of casting a vote. We're saying, this is what I support.
I never thought about it like that. It's like
Yeah.
with our time, right? We can spend it on things that drain us, or we can invest it in things that light us up.
Exactly. And that's the power of aligning our spending with our values. It's about making conscious choices that reflect who we truly are.
So it's not just about budgeting or cutting back, it's about being intentional.
Exactly. It's about making sure our money is aligned with our goals, our dreams, and our values.
So much of this deep dive has been about shifting our mindset,
Right.
right? From scarcity to abundance, from fear to possibility.
And once we make that shift internally, it starts to show up in our actions, in our choices, in how we manage our money.
It's just like this whole journey of self-discovery, but through the lens of our finances. So we've covered a lot of ground today. Money stories, facing fears, embracing abundance, aligning our spending. What are your biggest takeaways? What's resonating with you?
It's been amazing. And I think the key is to take action. Like, don't just listen to this and say, that's nice. Pick one thing, one small step, and do it.
Love that. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed with this stuff, right? But even small changes can make a big difference over time.
Absolutely. And be patient with yourself. It's a journey.
It is. And as you embark on that journey, we'll leave you with this powerful question from the blog post. It really stuck with me. If you could write a letter to your future self about your financial hopes and dreams, what would it say?
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of your own money mindset.